Hey guys, welcome back to Golden Reviewer. So here I have two Galaxy S22 Ultra, as you can see. The one on the left is the Snapdragon variant, and the one on the right is the Exynos variant. And today we are going to do a quick and comprehensive battery life comparison between these two devices. I think that should answer the question that most of you keep asking me, which one has better battery life? So here I show you that I've set them to 2K resolution, 120 Hz refresh rate, and about 45% of manual brightness. And I also want to mention that they are both on the latest system update at the time of filming, which means January update for the Snapdragon and March update for the Exynos. So first test we are going to do is 1 hour long YouTube playback test. So I'll just loop through my videos on YouTube and see how much battery it drains after 1 hour. Okay guys, time's up. Now it's 1 hour and we see that both of them are at 93% of battery. That means they use 7% of battery. So 7% battery for 1 hour YouTube playback on both devices, which I think is pretty good. Our next test will be a web browsing test. And it will also be 1 hour long, so I'll be using this battery benchmark app that helps me to auto refresh web pages, so I don't have to manually click refresh all the time. Right, so let's go. Okay, that is exactly 1 hour. The Snapdragon S22 Ultra used 7% battery, now it's sitting at 86%, and the Exynos use 8%. Is currently at 85%. So both are doing very good, and the Snapdragon is ever so slightly better. Our next test will be a 1 hour TikTok test. And here you see that I also set up a tool that helps me auto scroll through the TikTok feed. And this will also last 1 hour, and let's go. Okay, that's exactly 1 hour of TikTok, and the Exynos actually seems to be catching up. They are both at 74% battery, which means the Snapdragon used 12%, while the Exynos only used 11%. Our next test will be 1 hour Instagram, so I'll also be using this automatic tool to scroll through the feed non-stop for 1 hour, and this is also suggested by my followers. A big thank you to all of you who are supporting me and give me wonderful suggestions to make my videos better. Alright, so after 1 hour, it seems that Snapdragon is a little bit better on the Insta test. It only lost 7% of battery and sitting at 67%, while the Exynos lost 10% of battery and is currently sitting at 64%. That's 3% less than the Snapdragon variant. For our 5th hour, we are going to do a 3D gaming test, and we'll be using the PUBG mobile game. And here you see that the Exynos actually has a bit worse compatibility with these games, so it cannot enable the highest graphics settings. So we have to lower the settings on Snapdragon to make it fair, right? So they are both running at exactly same graphics settings and will run the game for 1 hour on. And contrary to what I expected, the Exynos actually performs quite well in this test. It used 1% less battery than the Snapdragon, which used 13%, so the Exynos actually used 12%. And currently, the Snapdragon is at 54% of battery, while the Exynos is at 52%. So despite some lower peak graphics performance and also seemingly lower GPU efficiency from my previous tests, it seems that the Exynos can actually handle these day-to-day games pretty well. And now I'm heading out, so I'm going to leave both devices on my desk with AOD on and test their standby battery drain. Now it's 6 p.m. I think I'll come back home at around 12 a.m. so that will be a 6-hour standby test. And let's see what happens. Okay, now it's 12:11 midnight, so both devices were sitting there untouched for about 6 hours plus. And here we see that the Snapdragon actually performs better. It drops 6% from 54 to 48. If you are a Samsung user, you should know that with AOD on, you are expected to use 1% of battery per hour, which is pretty normal. And here the Exynos actually use slightly more power at 8% over 6 hours, which I think is also acceptable, but it seems to be a little bit higher than the Snapdragon. And next I'm going to sleep, so I'll actually turn off AOD on these two devices and let them standby until next morning, so that will be maybe 10 hours standby, and let's see what happens. Okay, now it's 11 o'clock next morning, and I think the Exynos is having a bit of trouble here. It drained 15% of battery last night without anyone touching it. It's just sitting there. The AOD wasn't even on, and it was connected to the same Wi-Fi as the Snapdragon, so I don't know what happened. I mean, it seems to be some system bug or maybe a software compatibility issue in this device, and I hope it should be fixable with any future software updates, because 15% overnight drain is just out of the question. It's just too bad, and I don't think it's normal, so hopefully it's a bug to be fixed. On the other hand, the Snapdragon S22 Ultra lost 4% of battery to 44%, which I think is pretty normal and acceptable. Now we are going to do one last test before we conclude this battery life comparison, which should be the most demanding test as well. We are going to do a 4K 60 FPS video recording for maybe half an hour, because I think it will drain the battery a lot. And I also took this advice from all of you. So you were telling me that instead of just filming at some stationary subject, maybe film some moving stuff, so that it's more of a realistic test, right? Because usually you'll be filming something that is moving, and it might drain the battery a bit more. I don't know. Let's try. Okay, in this test, both devices perform exactly the same. They both lost 12% of battery, so the Snapdragon is currently at 32% and the Exynos at 17%. With that, we've come to the end of our battery life comparison, and here is a screenshot from both devices for the full test that we performed, so that you can see they've been used for exactly the same amount of time, and each app was also the same, so that the comparison is perfectly fair. I didn't do anything funny during the test. And here I've compiled all the results from our comparison test, and you can see that it's actually a back and forth situation between the Exynos and the Snapdragon variant. So for some tests, one used slightly more power, and for other tests, the other one used slightly more power. All that is excluding the standby test. So in the standby test, the Exynos is really terrible, and I really hope it's a bug to be fixed. And if it does get fixed, then that means the battery life between the Exynos and the Snapdragon S22 is basically the same. So it's not something that you need to worry about. So if you are in Exynos region and you buy an Exynos device, I don't think you need to feel bad. Just stay put, wait for Samsung to push system update to fix the standby issue, and it will be fine. Okay, so that's it for today's test. I hope the test is helpful for you. If you like it, share it to your friends or community, and remember to subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss any future videos. Okay, thank you for watching, and see you next time.